them off the field. I don't care what, we're in a climate right now, I don't care what it is. Take them off the dang on field. Because you know what, as a man, that's the only thing we really respect.
Mom, why did he do that? Why is he in jail? Why didn't he get fired?
I have to live with the fact that when I discipline my son the way I was disciplined as a child, I cause an injury that I never intended. I also understand after meeting with a psychologist that there are other alternative ways of disciplining a child that may be more appropriate. I have learned a lot and have tried to reevaluate how I discipline my son going forward. But deep in my heart, I have always believed I could have been one of those kids that was lost in the streets without the discipline instilled in me by my parents and other relatives. Now, clearly that statement is exactly what is causing so much concern, the idea that in his head, what he did to his kid amounted to discipline and not abuse.
See, my thing is, I don't want to tell anybody how to raise their kids, and I really don't want anybody telling me how to raise my kids. But let's make a distinction between child rearing and child abuse.
And that's
that was child abuse. There's no fine line here.
It's when that activity that's viewed as discipline becomes excessive, and when harm is done to a child, or as I indicated before, when you have the physical marks of abuse left on you, that's when that crosses the line. Child abuse, the legal definition is any non-accidental injury caused or allowed to be inflicted by the person responsible for the child's care. Okay, so what does that really mean? That means that if you are interacting with a child and the result of that interaction leaves a cut, mark, bruise, laceration, fracture, broken bone, that could be classified as physical abuse.
One of the times I was disrespectful, and so my mom made me hold my hand out and she hit it with a ruler, you know. And I remembered in the future, you know, she didn't have to repeat it. Once was enough, you know.
Some parents believe that punishment is effective and teaches their child in the long run which actions are appropriate or not. But does punishment actually teach the child?
If the discipline is physical, it will generally work right away. It's not like you have to repeat it. And if you have to repeat it, then it becomes abuse, and I'm not sure that there's any culture that would disagree with that, you know, that it can become abusive.
So I think children who fear their parents, when they're not around their parents, may go back to their old ways when that fear is gone. But they respect their parents, understand why their parents want them to behave in a certain way, why their parents discipline them or uphold sanctions on them, so to speak, when something's wrong. They'll internalize that, and over the long term, their behaviors and the sustainability of what their parents have taught them, I think will be better. Should your phone be taken away? Should you not be allowed to go to the dance? Should you be subjected to being yelled at? Those are all within a parent's rights. Is it okay if you are slapped on the face? Is it okay if you're hit with a switch or an object? We don't condone or support being hit with objects in Connecticut, but corporal punishment in and of itself, without leaving a mark or a bruise or a cut or going in excess, in and of itself isn't against the law, nor is that nor does that constitute abuse in every way.
Well, abusive homes are usually homes where the family's under a lot of stress of some kind or another. That stress sometimes takes the form of problems with money, problems with relationships, problems keeping a roof over your head or keeping food on the table. So usually a family is under some kind of stress. And sometimes when we're under stress, we do things we wouldn't normally do, or we take our anger out on somebody else.
What about the other? Can you hit a child?
I'm from the South. I understand boomers' rage and anger, but I think, listen, we have to accept we were born in, he's a white guy, I'm a black guy. I don't know where he's from. I'm from the South. Whipping is, we do that all the time. Every black parent in the South is going to be in jail under those circumstances.
I conducted a survey on high school students at Classical Magnet and found that 100% Hispanic and 100% African American were physically disciplined, while only less than 50% Caucasian were physically disciplined.
Culture plays a major part in the way families want to raise their children. Depending on your cultural beliefs and values and norms, the end result, or what is viewed as discipline, could look very differently in each family. And our department has a real balance of looking at a family in the context in which something happened to make sure that we understand the thinking that went behind the action and not just look at the end result.
Physical discipline is the process of teaching a child the difference between acceptable and unacceptable behavior. Good discipline should be a positive force, focusing on what a child is allowed to do. The goal of discipline is to help a child change impulsive, random behavior into controlled, purposeful behavior, and discipline should be reinforced with teaching, firmness, and reminders.